difficult people. My name is Mervyn Murray, as you know, and today we are going to get into the world of difficult people. On our agenda is what is a difficult person, the 4 steps we can take to be more effective with our difficult people, and some actions that we can take. So what is a difficult person? Anybody just jump on the mic? Can anybody tell me or give me their version of what a difficult person is?
Negativity.
Yeah. Somebody who's the no person. We call them.
Yeah.
Everything's wrong. Yeah. Anything else?
Obstructive, purposefully obstructive for the sake of being so.
Yeah, again, that's a version of the no person. The zapper, Gary, I like it. Somebody, again, that's the no person. You know, you float an idea up and they get their gun out and shoot it out of the sky. You know, they say, reload another one while I get into my stride. Yeah, so the no person. But essentially, you know, strategically, a difficult person is someone who does what you don't want them to do and doesn't do what you do want them to do, but you don't know what to do about it. So the first shock of the day is it's you, not them. Because if you knew what to do about them, they would cease to become a difficult person. You know, when we're dealing with our difficult person, we tend to blame them for everything. However, we are 50% of the, you know, if it's just one person, we are 50% of the issue. We are 50% of the relationship. So we have to take some responsibility for why they are difficult for us. And there are good reasons why people can be difficult. You know, if we're honest, we all can be difficult, can't we? And so we have to take some responsibility. If you have a difficult person that you have to deal with, then there are some things that we can do. But the first step is recognize that we are part of the issue as well. So what is it we're doing to make them difficult? And what are you saying that triggers them, perhaps? But perhaps it's the way that we are with them that drives them mad and makes them difficult for us. Here's the 4 steps that we can take to be more effective. Know what you want, pay close attention, test out different approaches, and decide to deliver. Let's go into these one by one. Know what you want. Most people they don't know what they want. They know what they don't want. So if I said to you now, I don't want you to do this, but if you were to get a pen and paper and list out all the things you don't want, and you had 2 minutes to do that, after 2 minutes, you'd still be writing and I'd have to stop you because we all know what we don't want. But if I ask you, what do you want? And specifically now, what do you want from your difficult person? That's a much more difficult question. And the problem with most people, they don't know what they want from the difficult situation or person. And what they should be asking is, what do I want from this person right now? And what do I want from them in the future? And it would change our thinking from the now to a more strategic way of thinking about this relationship and this person. because it's now you're being positive, and our brains are goal-getting machines. If you set a goal for them, the brain will work out ways in which to resolve that problem, that goal. And when we don't know what we want, the brain doesn't know how to resolve that problem. And of course, if you only know what you don't want, you get more of that. You get more of what you don't want. The most famous example I can give you is, and I hate to say this, Phil, Donald Trump. Donald Trump came from nowhere in 2015 to be the leader of the free world because everybody was talking about Donald Trump, and what they didn't want was Donald Trump. But the problem was that everyone talked about Donald Trump, and guess what we got? We got Donald Trump. Whether you love him or not, that's what you got. And until people stop talking about what they don't want and start talking about what they do want, you're going to get more of it. All right. And that's the politics for today. Pay attention. Now, when I say pay attention, what I mean is, use the chat box is what I mean. So using the chat box, what should you be paying attention to? Okay, press send. What have we got? So James, pay close attention to a problem they have. Really good. Louise, what they are actually saying to you. Yes, rather than what you think they are saying. I'll come back to that, Louise. That's a really good observation there. Behavior, Gary. Observing their behavior, body language and attitude, Danny. Absolutely spot on. You should be paying close attention to all the feedback that you're getting, and that includes those non-verbal signals, as you said there, the behavior, but also what they are actually saying rather than what we think they're saying. How many times have we been in an argument with somebody and either you or the person you're arguing with says what you're really saying is, and then they go on the attack over something that you haven't said. And so make sure that you are listening. There's a great quote that said, when in an argument, always listen because your ears will never get you into trouble. Of course, also focus on those times when you do get along better. When are those times, and what specifically were you doing together to get along better? And of course, there are triggers. I'm pretty sure you all understand what a trigger is. It's a word or a phrase or even a mannerism that causes us to behave in a certain way or think in a certain way that eventually causes conflict. So if we can, I've got a couple more things in the chat. Let's have a look at that. Hi, Steve. The view perspective of events. I like it. Yeah, so actually, make sure your perspective is challenged sometimes. The way in which we see things or perceive things. In the last taster session we did on emotional intelligence, I showed a picture of a young lady who was drawn as an old woman, and some people just see the young lady and some people just see the old woman, and so our perspectives are sometimes skewed by the beliefs that we hold about the situation we're in. All right. Test different approaches. So this is about um, being flexible. And being flexible is having a number of things that you can try or test out. Because what tends to happen is people try one or two things and then they get failure and they stop. Difficult people weren't built overnight, and they're not going to change just because you do one or two things differently. What you have to do is get feedback instead of failure. Okay, that didn't work. What should I try differently next time? And you're doing this because the relationship has value to you and is worth it to you. If the relationship has no value, then trying different things is just, is just a mental workout. People change over time. They don't just change, unless you're a hypnotist, they won't change immediately. And the third thing to try out is to change your attitude towards them. And I want to get into this in a little bit more detail, because changing your attitude towards your difficult person is not only the most effective thing to do, but is one of the most difficult things to do, of course. I want to show you a model in a minute about changing your attitude. The fourth step for effectiveness is decide to deliver, and that is make the commitment. How would Arnold Schwarzenegger approach this situation? He'd be fully committed, wouldn't he? And how would he talk? I'm going this way, and we're going to do this. I'll be back. He would make the commitment to do whatever it takes to resolve the differences between us and repair the relationship to a more effective relationship going forwards. Stop complaining. That's the version of doing nothing. We all complain, don't we? But complaining doesn't do anything for anybody. It just zaps our energy. And of course, with that, the third step, deciding to deliver, is put everything behind it, commit fully to resolving the differences and put all your energies to it. And that way you'll free up all your emotional energy and for the better things in life by resolving the differences between you and your difficult person. How can we change our attitude? Well, let's have a look at attitude and behavior. So you can see here the attitude and behavior model. My attitude informs my behavior, and my behavior informs your attitude. Your attitude informs your behavior, and of course, your behavior informs my attitude. And the only part of this model that I am in charge of is my attitude and my behavior. I was running a dealing with difficult people workshop down on the South Coast a few years ago, and a lady came to me during the lunch break, and I hadn't intended to show this particular model, but she came to me with her problem person, and her problem person was screaming and shouting at her at the top of his voice every time she turned up outside of her flat, whether it was doing the shopping or going about her day to day. And I asked her how long this had been going on. She said it'd been going on for over a year now. Every day, this person was screaming abuse at her at the top of his voice. And I asked her what she'd tried. She says, I've tried everything, Merv. And it's the reason why I'm on this course. She said, I've been to the police, he's broken no laws. I've been to the council, they can't do anything. She said, I've even tried getting my friends to frighten him off. And he goes away for a couple of days and then comes back. And I said, well, the only thing you haven't tried is change your attitude towards him. And she said, well, what should my attitude be? And it was only a guess, of course, but what he wanted was her attention. That's why he was screaming and shouting at her. And I said, what? And you, all the time you're giving him attention, he's going to keep screaming and shouting abuse. I said, you should change your attitude to he's not there. And she said, well, I've tried ignoring him. I said, no, when you ignore somebody, they know that you're ignoring them. There's a difference between ignoring somebody and saying he's not there. I said, you've got to be the best actress that you've ever been, because when he's screaming and shouting at you in the street, you look straight past him and you go on about your day because, and she said, he's not there. And I asked her to let me know how she got on, because I didn't know if it would work or not. And she wrote me a lovely email saying that 3 days of he's not there and he's gone away. And the email was about 6 or 7 weeks after the workshop, and I'd forgotten all about it. But she said, this is the longest period by far that he's been away, and I don't think he's coming back. And it's all because of he's not there. So changing your attitude can have a dramatic effect on the relationships that you have with people. I hope that you don't have anything as dramatic as that particular lady. But that's the power of changing your attitude towards the person in charge. So what will you do now? What actions will you take or can you take to deal with your difficult person and to bring the relationship back into some form of balance? Here's some actions that I think that you could take. Think about your triggers, the words and phrases that you use on them, but also that they use on you. Get feedback from your friends on your behaviors when you're around them, because the way that we behave around our difficult person is always different to those when we are around our friends and colleagues. And again, the hardest thing to do is put yourself in their position to build empathy with the person that you're dealing with, because they have issues too with you. I'm pretty sure, you know, if you've got a difficult person in your life, then they have difficulties with you too. I think we're there. Yeah. So today we've covered what is a difficult person, the 4 key steps for effectiveness, and the actions that you can take to be even more effective.